Hello everyone, Leah Dixon here from Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. I am live with my regular Wednesday morning card class to go. And yeah, I'm going to be creating with the Beary Cute stamp set and punch. So these cards were actually created for one of my team meetings. My friend Marika LaForge from back east in Canada and myself, we design cards monthly to share with our teams. And so these three cards are three of the cards from our team meeting. There was another really nice watercolored one that we did. So these designs, one of them was created by Marika and the other two were created by me, based off of things that Marika had shown me. So yeah. Good morning, Kim. So happy to have you join. So I'm going to just switch over to my desktop and we will get started. So for our first card, I am using Basic Gray, Balmy Blue, and Pretty Peacock. And that's it. It's a little bit of a fun fold, and we also get a technique in this card. So I'm going to move my stuff out of the way so that I have space to create. So when you get one of my card classes, oh, good morning. When you get one of my card classes, you get enough stuff to make 2 of each of the designs that I share. And in this particular one, you're also going to get the fancy tool that you need, which is a piece of masking paper. So masking paper is one of those great things that Stampin' Up! Has that just makes crafting and doing cool techniques with layering just so much easier. Now, I should mention that Stampin' Up! Is also having a sale right now, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And one of the things that they have on sale are their paper products. And that's everything. That's cardstock, designer series paper, masking paper, watercolor paper, you name it. Pretty much all of their paper from their annual catalog. So nothing from the mini Christmas one, but from their annual catalog. All right, so I just put aside our base. And there's 2 pieces of basic white in your kit. I'm going to put one of them to the side for now. And we're just going to start creating a Christmas scene. So I'm going to start with my trees. And I'm actually stamping them in Pretty Peacock. I know, trees aren't typically Pretty Peacock colored. However, I just really wanted kind of that bluish color palette. Oh yeah, it is fantastic. And I believe the paper discount is 20%. So it's really significant, you guys. Yeah. So go through, check out your favorite DSPs, make sure you have enough of them. If not, grab some. And then of course, stock up. Like I got my, basic white, my thick basic white, and just basically refilled my filing cabinet with that sale price. And I believe it includes envelopes as well. So it's really an amazing sale. They also have ribbon and trim on sale and inks on sale, including refills and everything. All right, so I've just stamped 2 full strength trees in Pretty Peacock. Now I'm going to grab my piece of masking paper. And you want to check them out. One side is like a matte finish and one side's a really glossy finish. You want to stamp your trees on the matte side. A couple of reasons. It's going to smudge if you stamp it on the glossy side. And because the glossy side is the side we're going to peel off to make this into like a sticker. So I stamped one tree that way, and then I'm going to flip my tree upside down so that it fits a bit better and stamp it the other way. All right. So we're now going to close up our ink and put away our tree stamp for a moment, just so that we don't get anything inky. And we're going to do a little bit of fussy cutting. Now, I'm actually not going to fussy cut this whole thing because I have a spare already done in my thing. But I wanted to show you when I do cut these, I cut them right along the edge. So I'm actually taking off a little bit and leaving a little bit of the line. But I don't want to leave a border on these when I cut them out. All right, so that's super important. All right, I'm going to save you the pain of watching me cut those out though. And, oh, there's my kit. I am going to grab my kit. Now I just keep my trees in with my stamp set. So this is the stamp set I'm using them with. So this is where I'm going to keep them. So here are my 2 trees that I have previously fussy cut and then just saved inside. So they're still sticky. So they're still going to work great. So this saves you some time as well. If you're making multiple cards, you can reuse these. All right. And I'm going to start here. I'm going to put this tree. Oops. You got to actually line it up. I'm going to put this tree over top of that tree. So that's just putting down my masking paper right over top of that tree. And then I'm going to grab my ink again and stamp another tree. I wish I had my good blocks. They're all packed up in a kit right now for a card class. So I'm suffering here with my thin little paper pumpkin blocks. All right, I'm just going to stamp that one off now and stamp it there. So it's just a little bit lighter. All right, and then I am going to cover up this tree. And I'm going to move this over and cover up this tree properly. Oh my goodness, you got to line them up. There we go. So now I've got those 2 trees covered. And I'm going to come in and stamp one more. Like that, full strength. And I'm going to peel this off and move it over. And I'm going to stamp one more tree. This one I'm going to stamp off. Okay, now I can peel all my masking paper off. I'm going to pop these back into my stamp case because that, I know, isn't it great that you can reuse them a few times? You can actually reuse them quite a bit if all you're doing is stamping over top of them. It's if you're going to use them for blending over top that they kind of wear out sooner, just because they absorb a lot of ink then. All right, so we can put away our pretty peacock ink now. And I am actually going to do my snowflakes now. I don't need to turn my page. I'm going to put my tree out of the way. So I've got both size snowflakes from our stamp set and my balmy blue ink. And I'm going to try, although I'm really bad at remembering, to stamp off every time. On my original sample, you can see there's one snowflake that's a bit darker because I completely forgot to stamp off. All right, there we go. And then we're going to come in and fill in the spaces with our smaller one. So that is a little trick, is you want to always start with your bigger snowflake when you're doing this and then fill in the spaces. And I keep messing up this little one. So I just go in and stamp a second snowflake beside it and it all looks fine. Oops, that one didn't stamp off very well. Okay, so we've got our snowflake sky all done, or at least the snowflake part. Now we're going to grab a little blending brush. I love balmy blue. And we are going to I don't want to get the trees, so I'm just going to blend blue on here as much as I can without coloring my trees. Now, if I wanted to come in a little bit closer, I could actually grab my tree again. It's like right here, I feel like I got that a little bit too dark. So I'm going to come in, grab my tree again, and then I can come down a little bit further with my blending brush just to even out that darkness. There we go. And so that allowed me to blend right around that tree without getting it into the tree. There we go. All right, so put my trees away, put away my blending brush. For now, we're going to pull that one out again. And our sky is done. So you can make that as dark or as light as you'd like for your sky. All right, so at this point, I'm going to set that to the side, and I'm going to grab this piece that's going to be the inside of my card, and I'm going to stamp my, oops, I almost dropped a snowflake on my card. I'm going to stamp my snowflakes again, and again, I'm going to stamp them off before I do it, and I'm just doing the two corners. I want to leave space in this card to write, so whoops. There we go. And maybe one more. All right, so just a few little snowflakes, and then I'm going to grab that blending brush again and just, again, just a little bit over top of it. It doesn't have to be crazy. Okay, and just a little, blend it down a bit. All right, not having great luck with my blending brush today. I think I'm trying to rush it. All right. Okay, so we've added just a little bit of blue to that in the corners. I'm just going to add a few more snowflakes to kind of spread that out because I blended a little farther than I probably should have. All right, so no worries. I'll just do like that, like that, like that, like that. There we go. All right, so just a little bit for the inside. And then we're also going to grab our envelope. Now for my envelope, hopefully this is going to be on the screen, how I can push it up a bit. So I've just tucked it underneath my paper that I've got on my desk. And I'm going to do the whole flap. Whoops. Apparently some in full strength and some in off. Oh, well. And then come in again with my smaller ones. And since I did some of my bigger ones full strength, I'm going to do some of my smaller ones full strength as well. Just kind of keep it all equal. Okay. Kind of like how it looks when they're a little bit different. There we go. And one more down here. And a few more actually. Okay, there we go. So I got those snowflakes everywhere. I'm going to ink this up, and I am actually going to blender brush the whole thing. So just like that. So I love having the decorated envelope. I just think it really finishes off the whole card. Yes, the darker ones do look like they're closer, so it's kind of cool. It's okay that they're darker. So there is our decorated envelope to go with our card. So I'm going to set that to the side, pull this back down. There we go. All right, so now we've created our little scene. We're going to do something that might make you feel like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? We're going to grab our paper trimmer and we're going to cut it in half. So this beautiful scene is going to be destroyed. Now, I cut mine wrong the last time I did this, so let me just double check how big it even is. 5 1/4. Okay, so 5 1/4 does not cut super nicely. You need to find 5 1/2 and then go up 1/8 of an inch. Now, if you don't, oops, that's my scoring blade. If you don't cut it exactly in half, don't worry about it. Trim them down and it'll just change the border that you have on your card. So we've just taken our scene and cut it in half. So 2.5 plus 1/8 is 2 5/8 is where we're cutting that. And the reason we're doing that is because we're now going to glue this onto our front, and each of these sides is 2 3/4. So we can glue that so it's right flush to the inside cut on our card base, and it's going to leave a beautiful border around the outside and no border on the inside. So our seam will literally be able to break open in the middle. So we are going to take these two pieces and glue them to our basic gray card base now. So let's grab some glue. You can use whatever adhesive you like. I am a big fan of liquid glue. Now, before I do that, I'm actually going to grab my bone folder because you can see my card's kind of staying popped open. A decorated envelope is for the post person. Yeah. All right, here we go. There. All right, so now we're going to take these two pieces. You should try and remember where you cut them so that you can keep your seam intact. But it is just trees, so it won't really matter if you get them on the opposite sides. All right, so I'm going to put this in. I'm trying for 3 equal borders and flush against the inside edge. There we go. There's one. And then we go to the other side. Yeah, these snowflakes in this very cute set are the sweetest. I just really like their shape. All right. Now we should just double check that we've got that lined up. So that's a little bit higher. This is where liquid glue comes in handy because I was able to just slide that over. And then we've got it lined up against the inside with our nice little border on the outside. So there's our card when it's closed. So we can still see a bit of that line in there. That's going to go away though when we put our sentiment and everything onto this card. All right. So that's, oh, and actually while we're here, we can take our piece that we stamped for the inside and glue that to the inside of our card as well. So there we go. You take that, open up your card, and this one should have 4 equal borders around it. There we go. So that's how our card opens, just like that. Okay. So we have a bit more stamping to do for this card. We get to stamp our bears and our sentiment. So we've got that. Oh, actually, we can stamp some snowflakes onto our little balmy blue hexagon here. So your hexagon will come pre-cut out for you. This is the heartfelt hexagon. It's actually in our new mini catalog, but I believe it's already available online. It was like an exclusive early release. There we go. All right, so we've just put some snowflakes on there. And so we can put those off to the side. So this is going to get glued onto here. And so we can just use a little bit of glue, or for something like this, I actually like to just use my tape runner on my Seal or Seal Plus, run a strip across the back of my hexagon, and then I can line that up. Voila. Okay, so that piece is just put together like that. And put our ribbon to the side. So now we get to do our stamping. So our sentiment on this one is actually 2 pieces from 2 different sentiments. So I'm going to ink up just the word Christmas. Of course, I'll probably get a little bit more than just the word Christmas, but that's okay. So I've inked up the word Christmas. I'm going to come down here and line it up as close as I can to the bottom and one of the sides. That's going to reduce the amount of cutting I have to do when I do my next bit, because I'm only going to have to cut across the top and trim one end. All right, and then we're going to do something similar, but we're going to take the warm wishes sentiment and just ink up the word wishes, or as best as we can. And then I'm going to come to the other end and do the same thing. Line it up on one side and, in this case, the top of the word, so that I have as little cutting to do as possible on those two. So those were both done in balmy blue. And then I am going to finally get around to stamping my bears. And I'm going to use my basic gray. So I'm going to stamp the big bear who's sitting down. And our adorable little baby bear. There we go. So we get all of them stamped on there. And now we grab our paper snips and we just start cutting. There's no punch for either of these two bears, unfortunately, just for the nice walking bear. So with these guys on the ends, if you're not comfortable doing a straight cut across there, you can grab your paper trimmer and trim it. But I actually find it's pretty easy if you just look at the tops of the letters and try to keep your distance from the tops of the letters. It cuts pretty easily, just like that, and then trim up the end. So there's my Christmas. Yep, here we go. And then same thing for wishes. I just kind of look at the bottoms of the letters and try to keep an equal distance. And then come in and trim. So there's my Christmas wishes all cut out. Some little scraps to get rid of. And then we just fussy cut these bears. I do keep a little bit of a border on them. And I am going to cut them apart from each other to make it a bit easier. So just around, and I'm just keeping like a tiny, like less than 1/8 of an inch border here. Okay, just like that. All right. So while I'm doing this fussy cutting, I'll just let you guys know about a few other things going on with Stampin' Up. So we have our sale right now for the ribbons and trims, inks, and papers out of our annual catalog. And then, of course, we're getting close to the end of our mini catalog season. So the list of which stamp sets will be carrying over from that mini Christmas catalog into another publication or into online sales. And the things that are retiring is going to be coming available. I will let you know that these bears are retiring. So when they sell out, they are sold out. They won't be restocked. So if you don't already own these adorable little guys, you're going to want to grab them. And grabbing them this week will allow you to get that $60 order in. And then you'll get the make and take kits for this class. So it's a really great time to snag these little guys before they're gone. That punch is amazing. You'll see me use it on one of my next cards because it really does make for a quick and easy bear. And although I'm not using them on any of my cards today, there's a little scarf that you can use to stamp on your bears, and you can still punch out the bear when he's wearing his scarf. If you want to give him the cute little hat that comes in the set, then you've got to fussy cut that and add it on afterwards. But that's okay because it really should sit like over top of his head. It does need to be layered on. All right, there. So there's our second bear. So they're really not hard to cut out. They just take a little bit of time. Okay, so with all of that cut out, we're now going to put all of our pieces together on our card. So I'm going to take my Christmas and wishes, flip them over, and put some dimensionals on the backs of them. Now I'm just looking. I didn't even leave any. Oh, no, those are minis. All right, let's go steal some out of a kit. Oh, my. I'm going to have to go get some right from my bin over here. All right. Good thing I always keep extra dimensionals. I'm completely out. All right. So grab a pack of dimensionals. Somebody was saying the other day, oh, you know, wouldn't you know it, I got halfway through a project and I ran out of adhesive. And I just thought to myself, I don't think I could ever run out of adhesives. It's one of those things that I keep like stockpiled in a bucket at the back of my room. That's like my worst nightmare, is to be in the middle of a project and not be able to finish it because I don't have the right adhesive. All right. So here we go. We're going to take our Christmas wishes and I'm just going to lay them on here to start. So I do want them to kind of overlap like that. And then I'm going to, once I'm sure that I like how they're going to fit, take those backings off. And there's Christmas. And here's wishes. All right. There we go. So we've got that on there. Now, this is going to go onto our card with dimensionals. But first of all, I want my ribbon attached to it. So I'm actually going to take my ribbon, just kind of hold it behind, and then let my ribbon fold and fold. And oh my, I put way too much ribbon into this kit. That's okay. All right, so I like how that's folding. So I'm actually going to use dimensionals on the back to like tape this in place. So I like where those are. So they're being held there just like that. And then I'm going to put an extra dimensional on. Oops, not on each end. Which end don't I want it on? I don't want it on that end. Peel that off. All right. So I am not going to let this stick too far because I don't want it sticking to the other flap. So I'm only going to use as many dimensionals as I need to make sure that this sticks. There we go. All right, I'm going to do that. Okay, so now that I've got that, I can peel these off. And we're going to pop this onto our card. Just like that. So I'm trying to make sure that the banner piece is straight. The rest doesn't matter. And just double check that you don't have any dimensionals sticking out on this side, because you don't want to stick our card shut. Okay, now that we've got that done, I'm going to trim up this extra piece of ribbon. We don't need it flinging off of our card. And there we go. Just cut that on an angle. And voila, we've got that. Now we're going to add our bears. So I want my bear to kind of overlap as well. So it's like kind of overlapping on both sides. But I don't want them sticking, of course, to the other side. So we're just going to put our two, well, let's still use three, but be careful. We're going to put our 3 dimensionals on the back of our bear. And peel those off. And pop our bear on right there. And then we're going to take our little baby bear, and I just put 1 on him. And it's kind of like snuggling in with mom. There we go. Mom or dad, I don't know. And then our card opens like that. So last thing is to add, these are an online exclusive. We're going to add some snowflakes. So they are white snowflakes, so they don't show up very, very well. These are, oh my goodness, I'm losing snowflakes everywhere. These are called the adhesive back snowflakes. You actually get 2 sheets, one of the larger snowflakes and then one of the 2 smaller snowflakes. You get them in the copper, gold, and white. And I am just going to pop these right onto my card. So I'm using kind of the, oh, come on, the largest and smallest snowflakes up there. And this is where you take a pick tool would be handy. And then kind of the medium one right over there. All right. So that is our finished first card. So you'll get everything you need to make 2 of these in your kit. And it's just so sweet. All right. And especially with our little decorated envelope as well. So I'm going to set those off to the side. And we're going to bring in our next card. All right, so here we go. We're creating with some vellum for this one, and it's the whole little bear family. So sweet. So what we're going to do is get all of our bits out of our envelope. And so many pieces, including a little piece of ribbon. So we've got a piece of vellum here. This was cut using the deckled rectangles die. And so that's going to go right onto our card front. But first of all, we're going to do our other layers on here so that like we hide where our adhesive is going to hold everything together. Okay, so you've got 2 pieces of white again. They're both the same size. So just grab one of them. And we're going to start with our whole sentiment and snowflake thing. So I need that Christmas is better together. You could clean it up because it has the balmy blue on it. I'm not going to bother because I'm just using it in the darker blueberry bushel. So I'm not too concerned. And I'm going to ink up my sentiment and stamp it kind of to the right and a little, about an inch down from the top. All right, gorgeous. So that is blueberry bushel ink. And then we're going to go back to our balmy blue that we've been using so much of. And we're going to do that same snowflake thing again in a lot of places again. So I like to do it stamped off. And we're not doing too many snowflakes here. We want to keep it kind of, oh, that one didn't stamp off nicely. There we go. We want to keep it kind of open. It's just a little accent. And we're going to grab our blending brush again. And blend the top again. And if it goes over the words, not a big deal. They're dark and they can handle it. All right. So just a little bit of blue across the top. It's a bit more than I did on my original. Oh well. And that goes to the side. Now we have a larger piece of white, and this is for the inside of our card. So again, we can do some snowflakes. And this time I'm just going to keep it to the top, actually. Just like that. There we go. So just a few snowflakes across the top and some blue blended across them. Okay, so that is our inside. Now you can also do your envelope. I've already shown you that, so I'm not going to do it again for this one, but you can stamp your envelope and use the blending brush on it as well. So now we can start putting our things together. So this piece, you can actually adhere to your vellum. You can use just liquid glue or whatever and attach that. So I'm just going to use a very thin layer of liquid glue. Okay. And you want to line it up in the center. So if you wanted to, you could also use dimensionals or some kind of dry adhesive. So that's going to get attached to our vellum. And then before we attach this to our card front, we're going to do our little piece of ribbon. So I actually have way too much ribbon here. Where are my scissors? I am just going to trim one end on an angle, fold that in half, and trim the other end on an angle. I actually have enough there to do a whole other card. Then I'm going to put that in this top corner, hold it in place. Oh, there it is. Grab a stapler and staple it in spot. And now I'm looking at that and I want another snowflake. So we're going to do that. I know I do love how the vellum keeps the tone, but changes it just enough. Okay, there we go. That's a bit better. All right, just looked a little plain. So with that done, we are going to glue this. You can use liquid glue or any kind of dry adhesive or even dimensionals. And you're just going to hide all of your adhesive though behind the white layer. Okay, so nobody's going to see any adhesive on this card. There we go. And we can also glue our inside piece in. All right, so just like this. And right to the inside of our card. All right. There. So that's done. Now we need to work on our little bears. Oh, good morning. It just says Facebook user. I'll be able to see who it is later though. All right, so now this piece is the same size. So the first thing we're actually going to do is we're going to just tear off a little bit of it. And we're going to take that torn piece with the torn side showing, and we're going to use some dimensionals to add it onto our card down here at the bottom. So you might even need a mini. I got a little close when I did that first tear. So I'm going to use 2 regular dimensionals, and then I'm going to have to grab a mini, or I can cut. Oops, now where'd my minis go? There we go. Or I can cut up just some of the trim from my regulars if you don't have minis, and put that over there. All right. So this piece, all torn and looking snowy, you're going to peel these off, and we're going to lay it down at the bottom like it's a little snowbank for our bears to sit in. There we go. Just like that. Now, if you wanted to, you could also grab, this is not in the description, you could grab some Wink Stella and just add it to that little torn edge, just to give it a tiny little sparkle. So it's not going to show up very well on the video, but in person, that little edge now is all sparkly. Okay, so now with your remaining piece of paper, we are going to fit 3 bears on here. The only one that matters for directionality is our bear that we're going to punch out. So we're going to take that bear first and stamp it down at the bottom. Okay, that's going to allow us to put it into the punch properly. Then with our ink still out, we're going to grab the other big bear. I always recommend doing the big ones first, because then you can squeeze in the baby one around that. So if we put our big one over there, that's going to leave us space for our baby. And there we go. So all 3 bears fit on there quite easily. I'm sure you don't actually have to puzzle it out too much. It's a pretty big piece of paper. And then we're going to start by punching the first bear. That's going to give you an idea as well of what size border you should leave on your other 2 bears, because we have to fussy cut those other 2. All right. So there's our first bear. I wish they were all that easy. And then we grab our snips and we cut out the other two. So again, I'm going to just kind of cut off any excess stuff that I don't need. It just makes it easier for cutting. There we go. And even as we go cutting the bear, when you find that you're bumping into paper on the side, just snip it right off and continue. It will be a lot easier. There we go. And then we just come in and do that. So this guy's actually pretty quick and easy to fussy cut. There we go. And clean up some of our scraps before we move on to the baby bear. Here we go. And then all three of these bears are going to get added to our card front using dimensionals. There we go. So you can be as picky, as fussy as you want with this cutting, or not. That's completely up to you. I get a little fussier. I used to be a really lazy fussy cutter, and I find now I guess I'm getting comfortable with fussy cutting because now I get pickier and pickier and go into all the little grooves. There we go. So that is our set of three. So we're going to grab these. Now you do want to make sure, especially with the baby, that you're not putting dimensionals where it's going to pop it up too much because you're putting them in front of the mama bear as well, or papa, I don't know. How do you tell the difference between the stamped polar bear that's male and female? I don't know. So I'm going to keep these up above the snow line, so just two onto the sitting bear. And I do want them to at least overlap off of the white, if not off of the vellum. And then I'm going to place our walking bear. And again, just two dimensionals. I'm not worried about the rear end because I actually want it to fall off of the edge of the page, and see here, like off the vellum, off everything. There we go. Stay on the card though. And then finally our baby. And when I placed our baby, I actually didn't place a dimensional on our baby. I placed a dimensional on the card in front of mama's front leg. And then, well, actually I did double dimensional it. And then I placed a second one on top of that because I wanted the baby to look like it was closer. And then we did that. There we go. So now baby is kind of in the forefront. So just like that. And then the finishing touches on this card are the snowflakes. You can choose whatever snowflakes you would like. I was trying to make sure I used all three colors from our set. So I used the copper ones. I thought that the kind of orangeness to them was actually a really nice complement to the blueberry bushel. I know lots of people aren't big fans of orange and blue, but I actually kind of love it. So one down there, one up here, and one at the very top. And so kind of when you do your rules of threes, you're trying to make triangles is really what you're doing. So there's my little triangle with the snowflakes as the corners. And that is our second card from this week's weekly card class to go. All done. Now, if you're finding that this corner's popping up because of that staple, you can grab a mini glue dot. If you buy a whole pack of them, they're going to come on a wheel in a box, and you can do it that way. I am just using up leftovers from paper pumpkin. So I'm going to place that dot, peel the backing, and then push that down. And that's going to hold that in place for me. There we go. I don't like corners flying free. All right. So that's our second card all done. And of course you can decorate the envelope to go with that as well. You could even mix it up and do balmy blue and blueberry bushel snowflakes. So there we go. And then our final card today, this is the one that Marika designed for our team meeting. Well, not the one, but one of the cards she designed for our team meeting. And I just loved it. The colors, so non-traditional and just fantastic. So here we go. This is such a fun card to create. We're going to start with the part that you might not notice right away, which is a little bit of Parakeet Party in the background. Now, I am going to actually use my bone folder there. I'm getting better at not using my thumb. It's really hard to remember, but I'm trying. All right, so here's my Parakeet Party ink, my blending brush for that. And, oh, that's bright. All right. And we're just doing the lightest little circle. There we go. Nothing too fancy. Just a little blush of Parakeet Party in the background. It gives it a little bit of a glow. All right. Now, in your kit, you're going to find all these little die-cut squares. And we're going to grab 3 of them. We only need 3 for this part. And we're going to get our basic gray ink and start stamping bears. So on one of these little guys, we're going to come in here and stamp our baby bear. Then we're going to grab our walking bear, ink them up in basic gray, and try and get like as much as you can, like head, paws, like the whole 9 yards, as much as you can on there. So that, yeah, that's that bear. And then finally our sitting bear. I'm going to come in here on this one, and you don't want his bottom paws on there. I don't mind having the front 2 paws showing, but I don't want his toes sticking up into the frame. There we go. So those are our bears, all ready to go. I'll put away my basic gray. And finally, I'm going to grab, there's a square in here that is not die cut. We're going to grab that. I'm going to clean up my Warm Wishes sentiment because it's got balmy blue ink on it from that first card. And I'm going to stamp my Warm Wishes in Flirty Flamingo because that is the color of the square it's going to be mounted onto. Now, when I ink this up and stamp it, I'm going to save myself some time, and I'm going to line up wishes in the bottom left-hand corner. So now you can see you actually have enough there to make 2 out of the 1 square. Like there's so much space there, just in case you needed, like you didn't like how it's stamped or whatever, and you needed to redo it. All right, so with that one done, we are going to start our cutting. It's not much. We're just going to snip the Warm Wishes off of here. So I'm going to cut along the top, and then I'm going to cut in between. So there we have my warm and my wishes. All right. Now we are ready to color because, you guys, these are not fussy cut and added onto cardstock. This is the most brilliant thing. Is Marika just grabbed blends and colored the backgrounds. So I've got my dark Parakeet Party, my dark Tahitian Tide, and my dark Daffodil Delight to match the colored cardstock that we will glue these onto. So you can do these however you want. I'm going to do them the way I did them in the sample so that the bears all end up in the same directions. So I'm grabbing my paintbrush tip. I'm starting in at my bear and brushing out to the edges. That's going to do a few things. It's going to mean that I'm not heading towards my bear line, so my chances of accidentally coloring into my bear are are less. And I'm also kind of keeping with the blends. You don't really see the lines, but as you're overlapping, they do kind of create a streak. So this just keeps my streak all in one direction and allows it to blend a bit better. There we go. So just a few strokes and it's done. All right, let's do our Parakeet Party one. And again, we want the wide tip end. Start in here with our little space. And so yeah, the biggest deal here is coloring your bear. We don't want to color the bear. So that's why I find starting at the bear and brushing away really prevents that. Okay. And then here, start on that side. There we go. And then finally, our little baby bear. So this is the only one we have to go all the way around. Isn't that a cool technique, Kim? This is why I love partnering with other people on projects, because the things you can learn from other stampers, it's awesome. So, there we go. So this one's a bit trickier. We've got like some inside bits and we really don't want a blue bear. So just go slow. And if you do accidentally get some blue on your bear, you can, depending on how much it is, you can use your color lifter to remove some of that. It won't be perfect, but it will definitely do the trick. All right. But my best advice to you is just go slow. It's not a race. And you'll be really happy with the results. There we go. All right, now I'm going to go over this one just a little bit more down there. Okay. So if you're feeling like it's not dark enough, like those two turned out really dark, but I'm finding this blue is just a little bit lighter, you can actually go over it a second time to make it a bit darker. Oh, Linda, I know. Isn't it so cool? When I first saw it, I thought, oh, Marika, like you had to fussy cut those right against the line to get those onto that background. And then I read her instructions and it said she just colored it. I'm like, oh, you're brilliant. So here, I'm just going to come back through and color mine a second time just to make it darker. I don't know why the blue just looks a little light compared to the other colors. So just because you're going through a second time, though, don't rush it. And this is where your mistakes will happen. So close to the finish line, we don't want to end up with a blue bear. There we go. Oh yeah, so much happier with that, with the second coat. There we go. So those are our bears all ready to go. Now, this card is literally a gluing project from this point on. We're going to take our base back. I'm going to take all of our little bits. You're going to glue these onto their coordinating cardstock. Now, don't get too close to the edges. I've never actually had it happen, but I always worry that those little dots on the stylish shape die cuts would let adhesive seep through. So I never get too close to the edges. All right, so there's parakeet on parakeet, daffodil on daffodil. Okay. Another thing that I didn't mention with the blends when you're coloring with them, do be light with your touch. Don't press hard. Because they're alcohol blends, they do bleed into the paper. So the harder you press, the more likely they are to bleed further into your paper, and it could bleed right across those lines. All right. So now you may have noticed on all 3 cards, I did not use any Memento Black. If you don't have basic gray, you can definitely use Memento Black to stamp these polar bears. I just find it creates a really dark image. And it's just such a stark contrast. I didn't really like it as much as with the gray. The gray just keeps it a little bit softer. And I don't know, it was just a look I liked a little bit better. I have 1 card in my collection. When I first got this set, I stamped the bears in black, and I have not done it since that day because I just really, I don't know, didn't like it. All right, so we've got all of those glued together. Now we're going to lay them out on our card front just to get spacing. And then one at a time, we're going to pick them up and glue them down. So I just want to make sure. I want my 2 outside borders to be the same. I don't care so much about this inside border. I want my top and my 2 sides to be as equal as possible. All right, that's looking pretty good to me. So one at a time. Actually, I'm going to start with my top left because then everything can line up from there. So literally just gluing these. So glue on the back, and then there we go. So first one's adhered. Now we just work from there. So top right is next so that we can keep the same top and side border. And that's going to determine our center border. And then the next 2 are easy because we just line them up underneath. Okay. I know some people would use a ruler for this and like measure it all out. I'm just not that person. I would like to be, but I'm not. So this is how you do it if you're going to eyeball it. Okay, there we go. We are now done with our liquid glue. We're going to grab some dimensionals for our warm wishes. There they are. So dimensionals on the backs of both. And hopefully I did this one wide enough. Oh yeah, just fits. There we go. So I'm going to do my wishes first. Put it on. And I want it to stick off of the circle, or oh my gosh, there's no circles here, off of the square. And then my warm, I'm going to put even further over because I want space for, oh, now I am going to try and tuck it under though, and keep it on your card. There we go. I want space right here for my ribbon. Now my ribbon, again, you have way more than you need, but I wanted you to have enough to be able to cross it over, tuck it through. But this is important. When you tighten this, don't tighten it too much. You want to actually create kind of a like squarish, triangular-ish front to it. You don't want it pulled tight into some little like a really harsh knot. So we want that kind of bigger space. That's going to give us the space to put a mini glue dot behind it and glue it down. Now you can trim these before or after you glue it on. I might end up trimming it both before and after. We'll see. I'm going to grab my mini glue dots and I'm going to stick my knot right onto my mini glue dot and then peel it off like that. And position that just like that. There we go. So now I am going to trim this one again. There we go. At a nicer angle now. And you can even kind of tuck these under. So it's going to hold them kind of in place how you want them to move. So it's just a little sparkle on that side. And then our finishing touches to this card are to add some more snowflakes. So you could add more white ones or you could add in the gold ones. So whatever you'd like. I'm actually going to put the white ones on this. I do like the white. I think it was one of the other cards that Marika designed that we used our other, used the gold ones on. So here we go. And we need one more large white. Where'd they go? The large whites are on a separate sheet. And so I just got to find, there it is. There we go. Yeah, just, oops, too high. Come on back. There we go. All right, so that is our card completed. Now for this one, for your envelope, I would probably just do those balmy blue snowflakes again, or stamp. Oh, actually, that's what I would do. I would just stamp a little guy. Where's my gray? On my envelope. Nothing cuter than a little baby polar bear. Wandering. There we go. Just like that. And that's how I would decorate it. Oh, I would love to have just a whole case of just white snowflakes, but that's okay. I'm finding ways to use the other ones. The gold snowflakes actually look really beautiful when you're doing kind of a red design in the background. And, oh, where did it go? We do have, maybe somewhere. Here we go. This is the card that Marika used the gold ones on. So really, really elegant and beautiful. Yeah. So these three cards, I'll just bring back the other two. These three cards are the cards in this week's card class to go. So a little bit of a fun fold, the vellum, and then the beautiful crazy colors. So just a really nice way to use this set. I'm actually surprised at the end of the day when I kind of looked at the cards. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even use the scarf or anything because I actually have been using it a ton on my own Christmas cards as I've been creating those. So I was surprised to see that I actually didn't use it on any of these, but that's okay. You could add it in a cute little blue scarf on Mama or something. And yeah, they're just beautiful cards. So if you don't have this set yet, you probably want to grab it before it's gone. And then definitely make sure today or tomorrow that you take advantage of the sale that's going on. It is really amazing. If you go on to stampinup.ca, then you can go to the seasonal sale and see all the products with all of their discounts there. So yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I am off to do some designing and some Christmas shopping today. And yeah, I will see you guys next week. Oh, Kim, I'm so glad you're looking forward to the new class. I know it's a long ways away. I do have a new class. It's a nearly New Year's celebration class using the inked and tiled stamp set and punches. And then if you wanted to, you can add on the medley mix. It's not being featured in the cards, but it could definitely be added in as an embellishment on those cards, and it does coordinate with the punches. So that's why we kind of added that on as an add-on, because it's perfect with the punches. So that's happening. You can find all of my classes on my blog, or better yet, on my website, leah.dixon@stampinup.net, and my calendar of events there. It's all there. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you guys at future classes. Bye.